What if everything you think you know about death is only a fragment of a forgotten truth? There is an ancient book, rare, cryptic, and often misunderstood, that whispers secrets most never dare to hear. A book not meant for the faint of heart, nor for the casually curious. Its pages, handwritten and richly illustrated, speak of what lies beyond the veil, not in abstract riddles, but in vivid, breathtaking detail. For centuries, it was hidden from the masses, passed quietly between mystics, alchemists, sages, and seekers who had tasted the limits of earthly knowledge and yearned for more. They claimed this book held the map of the soul's journey after death, the realms we traverse, the guardians we face, the truths we must confront, and the illusions we must shed. Its teachings are not metaphorical fluff or symbolic guesswork. They are structured, precise, terrifying to some, liberating to others. What if the afterlife isn't just light and tunnels? What if it's a mirror, a labyrinth, a test? In today's video, we will explore the depths of this mysterious text. We'll trace its origins in the ancient world, decode the layers of its philosophy, and follow the soul's journey as described within its ink-stained pages. But more than that, we'll uncover how you can use this knowledge not only to prepare for death, but to truly live. Because the ultimate irony is this: to understand death is to finally understand life. So stay with me, seeker. What we are about to explore is not just information, it is initiation. And once heard, these truths cannot be unheard. Once seen, the illusions of the world can never blind you again. Welcome to a journey beyond the final breath. To truly grasp the depth of this mysterious book, we must travel back in time, not just through centuries, but through civilizations that lived by truths the modern world has long forgotten. The book in question has no single title. In the East, its wisdom echoes in the Bardo Thödol, known to many as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. In the West, it mirrors the hidden pages of the Corpus Hermeticum and the cryptic diagrams of alchemical texts. In Egypt, it walks hand in hand with the Book of Coming Forth by Day, a guide for souls navigating the afterlife, etched into tombs and whispered through ritual. While the words differ, the essence remains chillingly consistent. Death is not an end. It is a passage, a test, a revelation. In Tibetan Buddhism, the Bardo Thödol was traditionally read aloud to the dying, guiding them through the bardos, intermediate states between death and rebirth. These aren't mere metaphors. They're described with such clarity that one could believe a cartographer of the soul once walked these unseen realms. According to this text, after death, the soul is thrust into a vivid, hyper-real state where every emotion, every memory, every unresolved desire takes on a living form. Terrifying deities may appear, but they are not external. They are mirrors of our own mind, our karma made flesh. The ancient Egyptians believed something similar. In their funerary texts, the deceased soul embarks on a perilous journey through the Duat, a realm filled with tests, gods, and judgment. The soul must pass through gates, recite secret names, balance its heart against a feather, and stand before Osiris. But again, these myths weren't meant to scare, they were tools of transformation. For the Egyptians, death was not an ending. It was the climax of initiation. Even in early Christian mysticism and Gnostic scriptures, we find whispers of this deeper view. The Pistis Sophia, a Gnostic gospel buried for centuries, speaks of ascending planes of existence, each guarded by archons and spiritual laws. The soul's journey upward requires knowledge, gnosis, not blind faith. But what is perhaps most fascinating is that these teachings, spread across continents and eras, align in their core insight. What happens after death is shaped by the state of your consciousness before it. The afterlife is not just a place. It is an experience crafted by the soul's level of awakening. The more clarity you have in life, the less confusion you'll have in death. The more attachments you carry, the more shadows you'll face. The more self-knowledge you cultivate, the freer your journey will be. And this is where the book's true power lies, not just in foretelling the mysteries of death, but in preparing the reader to navigate it consciously. As the mystics say, "Die before you die, and you shall never die." This book, then, is not merely a description of death. It is a manual for conscious dying and conscious living. Are you ready to begin decoding the journey it describes? Imagine you fall asleep, But instead of fading into dreams, you awaken in a realm more vivid than waking life. Sounds shimmer with texture. Light pulses with emotion. Thought becomes form. This is the first stage described in the mysterious book, the initial separation, the moment consciousness detaches from the physical body. In Tibetan teachings, this is called the Chikai Bardo. It begins the instant physical death occurs. But contrary to popular belief, there is no darkness, there is light. Blinding, brilliant light. This isn't metaphorical. The teachings describe it as the clear light of the void, pure, formless awareness. If the soul recognizes this light, liberation is immediate. But few do. Most are overwhelmed. The ego, unprepared, recoils from this intensity and seeks familiarity. And so begins the fall into the lower bardos. Here lies the first profound truth. Death offers enlightenment, but only to those who have trained their mind to meet it. For the untrained soul, the second phase unfolds, the Coniad Bardo, or the Bardo of visions. Here, the subconscious explodes into reality. Peaceful and wrathful deities appear, but they are projections, not external judges, but aspects of your own psyche. Each vision represents a psychological truth. The compassionate Buddhas are your potential for love and wisdom. The wrathful ones, your suppressed fears and aggression. In Egyptian texts, this stage corresponds to the soul's journey through the duat, where monstrous creatures test the heart's purity. The ancient scribes wrote of fire lakes and serpent gods, but in truth, these too were inner symbols. They were expressions of what we carry within: guilt, pride, lust, grief, all given form. The book makes a chilling yet liberating claim. You will not meet God when you die. You will meet yourself. And the self, when stripped of the body's filters, is raw and immense. This is why the teachings emphasize purification, meditation, and detachment during life, not to earn salvation, but to prepare for recognition. Recognition is everything. If you can recognize a terrifying vision as a projection, it dissolves. If you believe it's real, it solidifies. Fear feeds it. Awareness frees you from it. It's like a lucid dream. When you realize you're dreaming, you gain control. When you don't, the dream controls you. The next stage is even more complex, the Sitpa Bardo, or the Bardo of becoming. Here, the soul begins to seek rebirth. Why? Because unresolved karma acts as gravity. The impressions of desire, identity, and unfinished patterns pull the consciousness back into a body. This is not punishment, it's momentum. The soul is drawn to a vibrational match, not by logic, but by resonance. A soul consumed by anger will gravitate toward a life where that anger can be lived out. A soul filled with longing may be reborn in a family where that longing can take form. The Bardo texts describe this symbolically, seeing potential parents during intercourse, being pulled into the womb through attraction or aversion, all based on the soul's dominant tendencies. But here's a secret encoded in the teachings. Rebirth is not automatic. It's a choice, the one most souls don't realize they're making. Without awareness, the pull is too strong to resist. But with mindfulness, even in the Bardo, the soul can remain lucid. It can pause, it can choose, or it can let go altogether. The ancient mystics believed that those who practiced dying before death, through meditation, ego dissolution, or deep spiritual practice, were better prepared to remain conscious in this liminal space. They were the ones who could navigate death like a sailor reading the stars. This is the hidden gift of the mysterious book, not just to describe the afterlife, but to train the reader in becoming a lucid traveler of death. Next, we will explore the deeper layers of this journey. What happens in cases of sudden death, the mysterious time limits of the bardos, the possibility of liberation between lives, and the rare phenomenon known as the conscious choice of rebirth. There is a story whispered in Himalayan monasteries. A monk, upon his death, did not pass on silently. For 7 days, his body remained warm. His skin radiated a subtle glow. And though clinically dead, he sat upright, as if in deep meditation. The villagers spoke of miracles, but the lamas knew better. He was navigating the bardos, consciously. This is not fantasy. In Tibetan tradition, such cases are documented. They are called tukdam, a meditative state entered at the moment of death, where the practitioner merges with the clear light of awareness and delays decomposition. In modern times, scientists have been baffled to find no signs of decay for days, sometimes even weeks. The ancient texts, however, are clear. This is the sign of one who has mastered the art of dying. But what of the ordinary soul? What happens to those who die suddenly, or with fear, confusion, or regret? The book addresses this with solemn clarity. Sudden deaths, accidents, violence, or suicide can create a jarring disorientation. The soul may not realize it has died. It may cling to the scene of death, replaying its final moments like a broken loop. In some cases, it may try to interact with the living, confused by their silence. This is why ancient rituals of guidance were created, not to control the dead, but to comfort them. In Tibetan rites, monks chant the Bardo Thödol, not for the living, but for the one who has just passed. Each line is a reminder: you are dead. Do not be afraid. Recognize the light. Recognize the visions. These are not poems. They are instructions for consciousness adrift in the unknown. Now here's the curious part. The teachings say the Bardo state can last up to 49 days, a symbolic number, not a fixed countdown. It is the window during which consciousness either finds liberation, becomes entangled in karmic visions, or gravitates toward rebirth. But during this time, something extraordinary happens. The soul reviews its life, not in judgment, but in awareness. Every act, every word, every intention, it unfolds like a cosmic tapestry, not as punishment, but as perspective. You feel not only what you did, but what others felt in response. In mystical terms, this is called the mirror of karma. It reflects not your sins, but your unconsciousness. And in this reflection lies the seed of transformation, or the weight of continuation. At this stage, a profound choice emerges. One can cling to unresolved desires and be pulled back into form. One can recognize the illusory nature of all manifestations and dissolve into pure awareness. Or, rarely, one can choose their next incarnation consciously. This conscious rebirth is a jewel of esoteric lore. Some souls, out of compassion, vow to return, not to satisfy karma, but to serve others. These are the bodhisattvas in Buddhist tradition. The book speaks of them not as saints, but as travelers who no longer have to return, yet choose to. This also explains the phenomenon of children who remember past lives, often with precise details later verified. The mysterious book asserts that when the momentum of mind is strong, memories can carry over the veil. But it also warns, too much attachment to identity can create spiritual inertia. That is why the true teaching is not to fixate on past or future lives, but to wake up now, in this life, while clarity is available. And here lies the paradox. Death is not the end of the journey. It is the mirror of how we have lived. The purpose of knowing this isn't to fear death or obsess over the afterlife, but to live with intention. To prepare, not out of dread, but out of wonder. You see, this mysterious book is less about dying and more about how to truly live. It whispers again and again, learn to let go while you are alive, and death will be just another breath in the vast sky of consciousness. Now, we will explore how to apply this wisdom in daily life. Rituals, meditations, and awareness practices that not only prepare us for the great transition, but transform how we live, love, and awaken now. Now that we've uncovered the secrets of what happens when we die, as taught in this ancient and mysterious book, we must ask, how do we prepare ourselves? Not merely for death, but for a life lived so consciously, so deeply, that death becomes nothing but a passing cloud. The sages didn't study death to become morbid, they did so to become free. Let's begin with the first and most essential practice. 1. Daily reflection on impermanence. In many esoteric traditions, students are instructed to meditate on their death every day, not to invite fear, but to awaken clarity. In Tibetan Buddhism, practitioners visualize their own body dissolving or imagine the moment of their final breath. This sounds grim to the untrained mind, but it produces freedom. When you remember that everything is passing, your anger softens, your attachments loosen, and your compassion deepens. Practice. Every evening, before sleep, take a few minutes to say, if this were my last night alive, what would I let go of? What would I forgive? What would truly matter? Let the answer guide your actions the next day. 2. The mirror of karma. journaling with awareness. As we've learned, the soul reviews its life after death, feeling the ripple of every action. Why wait until then? Begin today. Keep a mirror journal. Each night, write one kind act you did, and one thing you wish you'd handled better. Feel it, without judgment. This daily review builds a bridge between your actions and your awareness. Over time, your unconscious patterns begin to dissolve. 3. The death meditation, foul practice. This ancient Tibetan practice trains the practitioner to consciously guide their awareness out of the body at the moment of death. It involves visualizing a channel of light rising from the crown of the head to the sky and learning to transfer consciousness upward. Even in life, this technique can bring peace, clarity, and a profound connection to the divine. Simple version for beginners. Sit in stillness. Visualize a golden thread rising from your crown to the stars. Imagine your awareness gently lifting upward, merging with light. Rest in that spaciousness. Even 5 minutes a day of this practice can rewire your relationship with both fear and identity. 4. Being present in every breath. Perhaps the most radical teaching in the mysterious book is also the simplest. Each breath is a doorway. Each moment, a rehearsal for eternity. This means that every ordinary moment is a bardo, a transition. When you pause between inhaling and exhaling, you stand in the same space the soul occupies between death and rebirth. To cultivate this awareness, breathe slowly. Feel the pause at the top of your breath. Feel the stillness before the next inhale. Rest in that stillness. This is not just breathing. It is training the soul to recognize silence, not as emptiness, but as the ground of being. 5. Service as sacred action. One of the greatest protectors in the Bardo, according to the book, is the force of compassion. When you serve others, not for praise or reward, but out of love, you build a field of light around you that guides you even beyond death. Help the forgotten. Forgive the unforgiven. Bless those you may never meet. These acts are not lost. They echo beyond the veil. In preparing for death, we are not turning away from life. We are turning toward it, fully awake, with our eyes open. Every meditation, every act of kindness, every moment of clarity, it becomes a soul map, lighting the path not just through this life, but through every realm to come. So now you know, behind the veil of physical life, beyond the last breath, lies not darkness, but a sacred unfolding, a voyage of the soul, a mirror of truth, a luminous passage through memory, meaning, and mystery. This ancient book, lost to time but preserved in spirit, does not ask us to fear death. It invites us to live more fully because of it. You are not merely a body that ends. You are consciousness becoming aware of itself. Death is not the extinguishing of the flame, but the return to the fire. The sages whispered this secret for millennia. If you remember who you are before death, you will never truly die. Let that remembrance begin now. You've been gifted the rarest insight, that death is a teacher, not a punishment. That the life review, the tunnel, the presence of light, it's not fantasy. It's initiation. And every breath you take with awareness is a step into eternity. But knowledge, no matter how profound, is powerless without practice. So ask yourself, what unresolved stories will I rewrite today? What karmic threads will I heal before nightfall? How can I live so consciously that death itself bows in respect? Let these questions guide you. Let this moment become the turning point. Because once you've seen beyond the veil, there's no going back. Only forward, into greater truth, greater peace, and deeper purpose. If this message has resonated with you, share it with someone who may be ready to hear it. And remember, on this channel, you're not just a viewer, you're a seeker, a traveler between worlds, a soul reclaiming its wisdom. Thank you for watching, and may your path be lit by the light of inner knowing.